Welcome to my squat warm-up. A proper warm-up is key as it allows you to activate and prime the proper muscles that you'll be using for that movement, in this case the squat, so that you can increase power and reduce injury. I'm going to start here with a banded warm-up where I just work on balancing on one foot. As you can see, I drive that knee forward, so I actively am working on dorsiflexion. I'm trying to keep my heel down and get the knee as far forward as possible while maintaining an arch. That's what the band is doing. It's pulling your foot, trying to flatten it out so that you no longer maintain that arch. And foot without an arch is flat and unstable, which is where we get ankle, knee, and hip pain. This is one of my favorite drills for getting the foot and ankle involved all the way up into the hip and priming the muscles to work. Then I'm going to go into some single leg hip hinges, still in the band, still body weight. This is going to really get some of those muscles of the hamstrings, the abductors, and the hips themselves involved. As you can see, it's not easy. It is a bit of a struggle, even for me who does this on a daily basis. So don't beat yourself up if you too struggle with it. The idea here is just to control the hips, make sure that they're pointed forward like two headlights, maintain that stable foot, that tripod and arch, big toe, little toe, and heel, and then work on getting the hips back while maintaining a vertical shin and a knee that does not shift forward. Then we move into lunges, which is going to prime that squat pattern. I like to work unilateral movements as they allow us to kind of feel out imbalances side to side, and the lunge is great for that. Next, we're going to add a weight. We're going to load all of those movements that we just did. First, we start by balancing and just passing the kettlebell left to right. As the kettlebell gets passed, we're going to have a bit of instability added to this balancing movement. Once the kettlebell moves inside, you're going to really feel the foot and the ankle stabilizers have to fire like crazy. Again, we're going to drive that knee forward, trying to keep the heel down the entire time, still passing the kettlebell and challenging the ankle and foot to remain stable. We're going to then move into our hip hinges. I actually had to give myself a bit of a breather here because my arch was on fire from all the activation. Okay, I'm going to do 3 to 4 hip hinges with the kettlebell in each hand, still working on the same leg. We're going to start with it in the outside. This is the easier of the two as it's going to help pull you into that stable arch of the foot, stable ankle. And then we're going to move the kettlebell to the inside. This is where things get really crazy because not only is the band pulling you into a flattened position through the ankle, but so too is the kettlebell. And it's also pulling that knee into a valgus or collapsed position. Those are two things that we want to avoid. We don't want the foot and ankle to collapse inward, and we don't want the knee to come inward. And this happens with a stable foot and a strong and stable hip. Okay, once I perform a few reps, I'm going to go through some passes here. I'm trying to pass the kettlebell side to side and get it as far away from the midline of my body as possible, really challenging those stabilizers. Okay, just a few reps there. 4 to 6 is usually good. Take another breather, give that arch and those feet a chance to kind of recuperate a little bit, and then go into some lunges. Same idea here. Start with the kettlebell on the outside of that front leg. This is going to be easier than when we move it onto the inside. It's not going to be easy by any means. You can see I too am struggling there. We move that kettlebell to the inside, and everything again is going to pull us inward, and we are going to fight outward. External rotation is what we're looking for here. I added in a little bit of a pass through for a little bit of dynamic stability. You don't have to do that. Finally, I finish up for my lower body warm up by doing some goblet squats. I'm strictly trying to prime the squat movement here. I'm trying to feel out any sort of imbalances that I may have and try to correct those. I'm also really focusing on my bracing. Before each and every rep, I take a huge breath into my belly. I brace as hard as I possibly can, and then I slowly descend into a squat. You'll notice that I change up my tempo. I feel out the bottom position. I go slower on the way down, quicker on the way up, things of that nature, just to challenge myself and feel different movements. Here is a side angle. A good rule of thumb is to have your spinal angle, your torso angle, and your shin angle to be roughly the same. As you can see, mine are pretty similar, and that's kind of what we're looking for here. Then I will finish up my warm-up with side planks. Side planks have been proven to increase range of motion in the bottom of a squat. And so I've added these in. I'm not going for a long period of time, 10 to 20 seconds. What I'm looking for here is maximum contraction. I'm trying to get every single muscle from my ankle up into my shoulder, firing, squeezing, contracting as much as I possibly can. And then to take it one step further, I'm going to do what's called a Copenhagen plank. This is going to work on some of those anterior oblique slings, whereas we were just working on the posterior oblique sling. This is going to get some of those internal thigh muscles firing. The same thing here. We want to drive that top leg down into whatever apparatus it is. I'm using a step here. You can use a bench. There are a number of things that you can use and create as much contraction through the abs, through the hips, through the core as you possibly can. All right, and I just wanted to finish out by showing my warm-up set for squats. This is 135 pounds, nothing heavy. I'm barefoot here to really get a good feel through the ground. I do move into wearing shoes on my next set. My idea here is just to feel out my positioning. I want to make sure that I can get to full depth comfortably using the proper muscles, making sure that my glutes are engaged as I go down, as I come up. I'm driving those knees out. I'm keeping my knees in line with roughly the third or fourth toe on each foot. And I am, again, focusing on that bracing because that is really key to a safe and powerful squat. You want to take a deep breath before each and every rep. Brace the belly hard and then descend and come up. This will improve your ability to produce more power and also make the squat a safer movement.